Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over a bootstrap example almost from scratch for the Rankin Technical College Summer Adventure Academy. We are in Part 9 of 13, and the goal here is to convert this, please take a look at the fonts in here, to something that looks more like this. Alright, now you may not look like the way that it looks, and you can change it around if you want to, but that's what we want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and in my Part 9 I'm going to open up here my CSS file, my CSS file, and I'm going to add a few things to it. Alright, so before my footer, but after my nav bar, I'm going to say that if I'm using a paragraph, that I want my paragraph to have a font family of Sophia, and I want it to have a font size of 18 pixels, which is really, we'll say 1.25 M. How's that? Alright, again, we should always be using M's when possible because they're relative units as opposed to using PX, pixels, which are absolute units. I'm also going to say for my H1, my H2, my H3, my H4, my H5, and my H6 tags, for all of those, I want the font family to be Candle. Okay? Alright, so that's the first thing that I wanted to do. Okay. Now, the reason that that is important is I'm going to go out in just a minute, and I'm going to go look and show you two ways that we can do this. Okay? Now, the first way that we can do this is we can go out, and when you're first starting, I think the way I'm showing you first is the harder way. So you can go out to Google Fonts. Alright? And if you go out to Google Fonts, it's fonts.google.com, and they have a listing there of 819 different fonts that you can use. So let's say I wanted this pangolin. I could click here and then basically add this link in and then add in this. Let's try that. Always up for changing the stuff around a little bit. So we'll do this. Copy. And so we'll add that link into here, which is right up near the top. So let's put it right under our Font Awesome links. So link 1 to Google Fonts. Okay, so there's the first one, and we're going to have a second one also in just a minute. Oops. What happened there? And this one will be link 2 to Google Fonts. We'll put that in just a minute. So with that first one in there, we added this thing called pangolin. So I'm going to change what I had there, and I'm going to grab this line and put that into my CSS. Close this. Go to my CSS file. Hello. Go to my CSS file, and we'll use that. Pangolin. Now, since it's only one word, you don't need the quotes. If you want them, you can put them in, and you can put them in single or double quotes. This says, now use the pangolin font, which I've just added. So, is this going to look any different? Well, there's only one way to find out. Okay, well, here's my So take a look and notice how the font looks different. Okay? Do you like that font? Well, again, we could change it if we wanted to. All right? But now you know how to add a new font. All right? Now that I said that's probably the harder way, so let me show you what I think is the easier way. Again, you may or may not agree with this. And I'm showing you two ways, so you should, out of these two ways, you should pick the one that you think is easier, and you want to do that. So I just showed you the Google Fonts. But what I'm going to go through here is I'm going to say W3 Schools, Google Fonts. All right. So how to Google Fonts, CSS Web Fonts, I think it's this one. And there's some talk in here about what these fonts are, etc. Maybe it was the other one. All right, 819 fonts. As far as I know, they show you all of them here. An alphabetized list. All right. So where was the other one that I had used was Candal, C-A-N-D-A-L. So let's find that. And I just started looking through here, and I wasn't real adventurous, so I didn't go all the way down to the bottom and look at all 819 of these. There's Candal, kind of like that. So under the try it, what I did was I grabbed the link that was right here, took that link and pasted it in, just like we did before. You notice it looks exactly the same as what we saw before, except where previously we said family equal pangolin, now it says family equal Candal. All right. And now that I've got that, I don't have to change my CSS because I already set the font family in there to Candal. So is this going to look any different? Well, you tell me. This is how it looked, and you see how those looked. I'm going to refresh. Okay? So what I did was I took my paragraph text, which is here, 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 and here, and I took my H1 text, and I don't believe I have any other H2 or H3 or anything else, but I showed you how you can implement Google Fonts into this to make changes. All right, that was the idea behind this. Now again, where we've got this HTML5, I'm trying to see what that is right there. I mean, I know what it is, but what kind of a tag was that? So for instance, that was right here. It was an H3. But for whatever reason, I seem, when you looked at that, the H3, it did not, at least in my opinion, it did not look, there's H3, it did not look like it was bolded. So I'm going to say, hey, for H3 tags, set the font weight to bold. All right, why did I do that? Well, again, hopefully now these are going to be bolded when I refresh, and they are. All right, so again, in this particular exercise, this video, this part 9 of 13, I came in and added Google Fonts, and I showed you two ways of doing it. One way is to go out to fonts.google.com and add them that way. The other one to go into W3 Schools and add them that way. There is no difference. You basically get the same thing or the same type of thing either way. But I wanted to show you two differences because some of you might find one of those ways easier than others. All right, so we're going to come back in just a moment, and when we do, we're going to continue on into part 10 of our 13-part series, and I'll be back with that very shortly.